So the first of these 12 mistakes that are frequently made in strength training by women over 40, and I would say potentially our likelihood of making these mistakes is even greater over 50 and over 60 because we have a different history of conditioning. And I don't mean conditioning from the shoulders down, I mean from the neck up. Number one, overworking small muscle groups. Now, you know who you are. You're probably my listeners who I want toned arms. So I'm going to make sure I do arm exercises every day. Maybe at the detriment of time and energy you could be spending where you will get much greater and significant benefit from doing something else. Your triceps and bicep curls will not lead to super sculpted arms, not by themselves. So those sets of exercise could rob you time and energy better spent on your major muscle groups if you aren't getting the adequate volume there. You need fewer of these small muscle group exercises in your routine if you prioritize the major muscles like your chest press and your back, trapezius and latissimus dorsi, that you would work in, say, a bent over row or a machine row, standing cable row, a pull up, a bent arm pullover. If you're working those, the secondary muscles, which are your biceps and triceps, those muscles get a workout in that supporting role. Arm flab or fat doesn't respond to exercise alone. Your insulin resistance and your blood sugar control require more attention to food and to sleep here in the arms specifically. Number two is skipping the warm up. Right? So if you are skipping the warm up to get right to the good stuff, we want to go right to the good part. Anybody else? And let's say you're only doing a 10-minute longevity snack and you're in our membership where you have access to those, or in our Stronger program where we've gifted you those as well. It doesn't mean that doesn't have a warm up. You have to do some kind of a warm up on the front end, but here's your motivation for doing that. If you don't do it, you don't have as much energy expenditure, because energy expenditure in exercise or any effort is about oxygen consumption. Energy expenditure is another way of saying how many calories did you burn? And look, your fat storage or fat burning is not completely dependent on calories in, calories out. You know that by now really well, right? Those of you that have dieted within an ounce of lettuce, right? No, this doesn't work. It doesn't work because the hormones get depleted, they get stressed. You're taxing your system if you're not taking in enough food and or you're exercising, and worst of all, you're trying to do both, right? Over exercise and under eating, bad combination for your hormones, and you are probably storing fat. You're gaining visceral belly fat and you're seeing it everywhere. But the warm up may need to shrink like an accordion or expand according to the time. But here's why you want it. It's not just about injury prevention. So those of you who feel like, "Oh, I'm fine, my joints are good, I have great mobility, and I don't need this." Yes, you do. Right? One thing you will never see skipped if you go to a collegiate sports practice or you see elite athletes in a workout or in a training session, you may be very surprised to find that elite athletes, actually, their whole workout made to you look like a warm up. They're taking care of the little things, they did not skip it. This is really important for all of us to learn. The more and the sooner that there is an increased blood circulation, your blood is delivering oxygen to working muscles. Blood delivers oxygen. That's one part of energy expenditure. The other part of that energy expenditure is actually your cells extracting it for their use. You get better at that when you do it. And we get better at something that we've never done before when we go slow, right? Number three is not resting between sets long enough before repeating. Rapidly moving from one exercise to the next has had its day. And I alluded to that a little bit with HIT, but it's not so much that as those boot camp kinds of things. So that was yesterday. Its day was, right? Those metabolic conditioning workouts, is what they're called, are a nice anomaly, a change of pace, right? Where you might be going from station to station. I'm going to do a battle rope, and then I'm going to do jump rope, and then I'm going to do punching a bag, and then I'm going to blah, 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 right? So heart rate up, heart rate up, heart rate up. Or you're going to a renegade row, you're going to a chest press or a push up or squats and then jump squats. So you're alternating between this and between that. Feel hard. We alluded to this earlier, but being challenged just by rapid movement and being told, oh, you're going to torch 600 calories a session, the marketing literally goes there, and it's very hard not to be sucked into that conversation. That can cause an elevation of cortisol while you're exercising that unfortunately remains after. So in most exercise of any intensity, your cortisol does rise. However, it rises and then comes down below where it was when you started. So you are feeling more resilient, feeling more energetic. You've removed that bit of roadblock by purging a little bit of stress and energy. But it backfires if there's an elevation of stress hormones that then don't come back down. They're up, they're elevated. And there's other reasons why this occurs. I'll talk a little bit more into that in a minute. But rest between sets of strength training is super important. Reach complete muscle fatigue or within 2 reps of it. So we say 2 in reserve. If you're feeling like I get vulnerable, I don't like to be like at failure. I totally get it. 2 in reserve is close enough, okay? But if you do HIT, separate the sessions so you can get the best benefit from it, and separate the intervals so you've recovered 100%. You need to actually reach muscle fatigue, but then not come back to that specific muscle group until you're completely recovered. That window is anywhere between 1 and 3 or 4 minutes. But that doesn't mean you're sitting down scrolling, right? So I'm a big advocate for, right? So getting the biggest benefit from the least amount of time spent. So I will do major muscle groups, but then in between, making sure I'm getting, and I prefer about 2 to 4 minutes of recovery and rest because I'm going heavier. The heavier we go, the more time we need between for full recovery. So I will do a balance exercise. I may do an opposing muscle group or opposing body part, meaning from upstairs to downstairs. I'm going to get a little bit more recovery there than if I did chest press and back. Still upper body. So it's a little less recovery than if I were to do, say, a chest press and work in lunges in between or deadlifts or squats. I got a little bit more rest for the body part. And then I might then put in either a core exercise for a minute or a balance exercise, dynamic balance exercise. Now it's a good 2 minutes before I'm back to that same muscle group. So think about, are you doing enough rest? That may be all you need to change so that you can go heavier and again come back to your capacity. I would never think I could just randomly do a workout and I would maybe see on an app or in a magazine, that's a great exercise. I'm going to try that next time. No, right? First of all, you need to be choosing great exercises for you based on your limitations, your range of motion, your movement, your goals, your hormonal status. This is really important. But also, you need to say the relationship I have with this workout today needs to be based on the workout I did just previous to it and the workout I'm going to do the 2 days, 3 days after it. How are they related? There is a relationship. And if you are randomly saying, I like that workout, I like that workout, I'm going to go back to these, and missing that progression, or you don't know how to regress when stressors get high in your life, this is a problem. If you have an organized plan, you can always take a detour, right? But you start with that GPS in your phone, not in the weight room, not sleeping enough, or I'm going to flip this, not changing the workout when you don't sleep. If you're not sleeping well and you're trying to just this is what it says on my sheet, I should do this. I'm following this because I'm a type A, I'm an overachiever, and it's us. We're the most guilty, right? I'm going to hit this one. And sorry about that. I kind of yelled. But it's very important to realize that your body is under a certain amount of stress because you are sleep deprived or because mom is passing and you're a caregiver or something else is going on, those stressors have to be factored in. So I'm using sleep in this case, and sleep is crucial. Sleep is crucial to your health as a woman, but sleep is crucial to any fitness benefit taking place, right? Because if you are not sleeping, your immune system is depleted. Your immune system is a big part of your reaction and response to exercise. Cytokines are released afterward. Your immune system, for a short period of time after a workout, especially a tough one, is depleted until you can allow that storm to come in and for it to overcome your body to overcome that. But it doesn't have all the tools in order to do that if you're sleep deprived. Treating soreness or being worn out as an indication of a good workout is really a mistake. And it works both ways. If you never feel sore, it doesn't mean you didn't get a great workout. If you always feel sore, it doesn't mean you got a great one. And I was asked this just the other day. If your muscles are sore, if I'm sore, does that mean I shouldn't do the next workout? And I said, she used the word pain, actually. And I said, is it really pain or is it muscle soreness? If you are feeling, I've got a little bit of muscle soreness, I'm still aware of those muscles I worked the other day. If your workout will be other than a repeat of the same one, you're probably fine and maybe better off to go ahead and do that. It's fairly mild, it's an awareness, and you're not going to repeat the same thing that made you excruciatingly sore, meaning we caused lots of micro tearing in that previous workout, but instead it will be different. You're probably just fine. If, on the other hand, your assignment is to repeat a workout that you just did and it made you really sore, then you would wait another day, but you would be active. So, active recovery is very important and much more efficient and effective than passive recovery. There are two genes associated with soreness, and you may either be predisposed to be sore or not be sore. It's not a good indication of whether you worked hard enough. So, if you reached muscle fatigue, you did your job, right? You reached muscle fatigue or temporary muscle fatigue within two of getting to the point where I can't do anymore. That's a better gauge of this is a good workout. Soreness can be hinting that your micronutrient density, that intake of carbohydrate or protein, that combination is not adequate, by the way. So you may find you don't have as much soreness if you actually eat adequately. Mistake. Dependence on supplements and negating balanced whole foods. I'll be the first one to admit we at Flipping 50 believe most women and men for that matter need to supplement. But I need you to understand that my stance on this is, first of all, those supplements need to be high quality. You need to actually figure out, do I have a deficit with food alone, and what is that, if so? But then if you're too willing actually to jump into use of essential amino acids or branch chain amino acids, which I would tell you not necessarily necessary or helpful for a woman who's not eating enough. You can't overcome if you're not eating enough. There's a wide variety of micronutrients coming in from food. There's a very specific and narrow only essential amino acids. Now, that's a good thing and a bad thing. Some of you, though, who have a diet mentality and still think less is more, you're thinking, oh, but those essential amino acids don't have any calories. So I can take those in and keep my muscle while still losing fat. Don't get too bold with that. Don't get too anxious to give up the micronutrients and calories that you actually need so you can work harder at your capacity, because fitness occurs, muscles occur because you're strong, you're vibrant, you're able to work at capacity. So you need to think food first and then allow supplements to pull in and close the gaps to take you the rest of the way. Taking too much advice or too little from too many people. So you see where I'm going with this? If you have too many voices in your head, I've experienced this really recently. You're trying to do one program that is about maybe diet and nutrition, or working with a functional doctor who also tends to be giving you advice on nutrition, and you're working with somebody else, or exercise and you're working with someone else or me. And then I'm suggesting to you, right, that, potentially for what you're trying to do, you may not be taking in enough protein. You know, you have to decide, who am I listening to and what's my status right now? If you are struggling with adrenal fatigue, you should be working with someone who will directly work with you on adrenal fatigue. Don't jump in the middle. Know where you need to start. Know what you need to do first, and where you ultimately, I want to go there. That's okay. You just need an on ramp. The talk is still calorie deficit, need to be in a calorie deficit. Yet, an estimated but not exaggerated 80% of women in our community undereat for their mere existence. That's resting metabolism. Like sitting here, just working, or lying on the couch is resting metabolic rate. But if you are up all day, you're moving, and I mean moving like you're packing and moving things, or you're moving people, and you're on your feet waiting on people. You're exercising intentionally. You have a far greater need. Many women, hear me, are under eating for their even basal metabolism. And that means, remember, you're shutting off your metabolism. You're slowing it down. You need to figure out your calorie needs. Use an app, track your actual intake for 3 to 5 days. You may be shocked to see, what are you taking in? What is the amount of protein and fat and carbs that you're getting? And it could be that that alone is skewing your results. What if you didn't change your calories, but you changed the protein and the fat and carb combinations or ratios? Super easy things. And if you want more on that, the Metabolism Makeover would be a great opportunity for you to learn more and do what we all need, take you through it step by step, right? So you know those things are out there, but you may not get to them unless you have somebody say, okay, here's this small bite of homework for this week. Just do this. Measure your muscle. Don't sacrifice your muscle. Measure your energy. It's subjective, but you know how you feel. Measure your mood. You add something, but you don't remove something else. I've experienced this temptation to do this myself, right? When I started training for triathlons at about 40, I was a runner, and a runner runs. Those of you who are runners, or were runners, you get it. And there's nothing that quite replaces the thing that you were really attached to. So I was identifying as a runner, but it's also how I dealt with stress. It was like brushing my teeth for me. So I was compelled to, on the days my coach gave me a swim or gave me a bike ride, I still felt like I needed to run. Is there anything that needs to come off your plate so you can make time and energy for that? We need to be asking those things. So certainly if you're doing strength training, you've added that, but you're still trying to go to bar class and your Pilates class X amount of times, you may be interfering with your ability to recover fully and get the full results. Doesn't mean that those can't come back in smaller doses, but you really have to look at what's important to me right now. What's my biggest problem or challenge right now? For most women over 40, and it increases with every decade, our biggest challenge is anabolic resistance, the inability to maintain the muscle we have and or to gain muscle we don't have and need to increase our metabolism, to increase our strength and increase our power. and decrease our risk of disease because we have a blood sugar reducing machine when we have muscle. For all the references that I've used in today's episode, you'll find it in the show notes, and that will be at flipping50.com/12 strength training mistakes in menopause, because many of these things related to metabolism are related to our beliefs about what we're doing. We're not intentionally sabotaging our metabolism, but often we are sabotaging our own metabolism.